Hi everyone, welcome to this video on the Zenware channel. Today we're going to talk about why pyramids can be found in the world. Okay, and we're also going to explain the meaning of the name Amon-Ra. Okay, and we're going to bring it to connect with the teachings on this channel that you can find. I do invite you to listen to other videos on this channel. And if you like the content on this video, please do like, subscribe, and share. So, what are we going to talk about today? So why do we find pyramids all over the world? Very simply because Kailash mountain is a pyramid, okay? And what happens is before our part of society, our remembrance of society, there was a society that existed before humans on Earth, okay? And basically this is before the Kali Yuga, okay? And as you can see in other videos on this channel, what happened is, the gods that you can find carved their faces on Kailash mountain, such as the north face where you find Shiva Baram, right, at the center and base of the mountain, right, holding the Damaru of Shiva, which you can find there at the center and base on the north side of the mountain, okay, the Shiva Baram, holding the Damaru of Shiva, right? And the story is of Shiva Brahm, okay, that god that you can see carved on the mountain there, which is the first god that was worshipped by society before even our remembrance of human society, okay, earlier in the story, okay? And basically that the story is how that god basically was worshipped by, you can say, our ancestors, okay? And basically the story is of how he goes up the Vaitarani River, which passes through the Damaru and goes all the way to the top of the Kailash mountain, okay? And all the different deities are on the side of the mountain, okay? Of the river and all that, the ones that have a dominion on the side of the river, and that's what it's called, okay? So the story is of him going up the stream of the mountain, and one of the other gods being worried about that, and basically going to the top, becoming Shiva, okay, realizing that he is Shiva, right, Shiva Brahm, and then basically coming down back into himself, back into the mountain, and that is the concept of the avatar of God, right? So basically that takes place through Adi-Ra, right, which comes in as the judge, right, Adi-Ra, the judge, and announces Judgment Day with his arrival. So basically, why do we find pyramids all over the world? Because a society existed before, okay, the beginning of the Kali Yuga, okay? And basically all this knowledge of God and basically the knowledge of the gods of Kailash mountain and the deities, which, you have the north side, then on the other side you have the female gods, right? And all their relations with all of them and all this. And basically what started the Kali Yuga is when the two sons of the king of the gods, basically, and the queen of the gods, the king Karam of the gods, when his sons basically both died after a conflict erupted amongst the gods. Basically, when the king of the gods' brother enlisted, the one who basically oversees the workers, if you want to see it that way, and basically they tried to overthrow the king of the gods, and basically they enlisted one of the brothers. So the other brother had to basically kill his brother with his final weapon, which left a huge scar on Kailash mountain on the north side that you can see, okay, which was carved in by the people of the time when they understood what had happened at the level of the gods, okay, by the society then. And basically both brothers died, and basically the queen of the king of the king of the gods, basically on the mountain, fell into grief and into grief, and nothing could basically make her happy again. So a lot of history there, okay? And this history comes back now because it's now the end of the Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga is over. It's the golden age that has begun. So this knowledge comes back and revealed as the information that was lost comes back with the new age. So that's what started the Kali Yuga, and the upset and the punishment that took place, because essentially Karam, the king of the gods, punished the ones who was the workers, basically. And as you can tell, all through the history of society, workers have often been oppressed, right? There's been a punishment to workers, in society, and that's reflected as a punishment on everyone, basically. So now we've moved past that stage, everyone's been moving past that stage. So now we're in the golden age that has begun, right? But there's many things that have to take place which bring in the golden age, which so the end, the Kali Yuga has ended. So why do we find pyramids all over the world? Because the pyramids are based on the culture of the people that existed all over the world before, that basically had the center point of Kailash mountain as the center of their belief system, essentially. Okay, and that's why pyramids have been built to emulate Mount Kailash in that sense as well, all over the world, and why we can find those. Because what happens is there was a loss of knowledge and culture with the end of the previous age, when the Kali Yuga started, and basically, you know, people forgot and basically lost contact with each other, and you know, things, you know, degenerated, you know, until they could heal once again. So that's why we have that. Now, why do we have the name Amon-Ra, okay, in Egypt, okay, and I've explained how you have Shiva Baram, okay, Ba of the bottom, Ra of the bottom of the mountain, okay, on Kailash mountain, okay, the Ra in the center, okay, and why do you have the avatar named Raphael? Fa is the middle of Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si, Do, Fa, middle, the middle and the bottom, okay. And then basically, why do you have the name Amon-Ra? Where does Amon-Ra come from? Okay, now I've explained on this channel how you can look at French and English to analyze different words, because this is how it was meant to be understood when it was the time for all of society to understand it. And that's why these are two very common languages that are used on our planet, so that people can understand once it's been explained to them. Okay, so Amon-Ra, okay, how did Ra become Amon-Ra? What is Amon-Ra? Okay, you know, Amon is known, for example, as a god of the sky or air, for example, okay? What is the air, and what on earth reaches into the air, into the sky? Mountains, okay? What else do we have that reaches into the sky, or traditionally in the back, in our history and all that, okay? What would reach into the sky? Mountains. So mountains were often known as the place of the residence of gods as well. What is Amon? Okay, now when you break it down, a mount, Amon, Amon, a mountain, okay? You see it now? And then also, what is Amon? En amont, en amont. En amont in French means upstream, okay? And I've explained how the story is of how Ra, who holds the Damaru of Shiva, and his Shiva, and becomes Shiva, and that's the story, and how he descends back as an avatar, right? So the story of how he goes up the stream, upstream, and goes all the way up all the other gods on the mountain, and goes to the top, and becomes the one who stands atop the mountain and has his mark upon it. Okay, Shiva, okay, or Parashiva, if you want to look at it that way, okay. So that's why you have Amon-Ra, okay. So and then you can see that the culture that was practiced in Egypt, okay, also is the same culture that was practiced in different parts of the world as well, in different forms and languages and all this, and you can find the same concepts, you know, of the sun as well, which is the light, right? The sun, the concept of the sun, the light, and we know that light is knowledge, right? Light is knowledge. And what is the knowledge, the purest knowledge, the purest light? The knowledge of God, right? So what is the light? The light is God, you know? So what is God? God is the sun. God is the light, you know? And I've explained on this channel how that actually is even more specific when you look at the levels of energy lokas, which can experience at the time of enlightenment, okay? Where you notice how you are at that level, and you notice that everybody downloads the light of God within them in a recharge cycle, right? And then distributes that light outwards towards them, to their kingdom around them, which is basically empowered by the light that they receive from God as devas, right? As beings that shine with the light of God. And then if you're interested in the opposite, which are asuras, beings of darkness, you can look at other videos on this channel as well to learn about that, and how Asuras are in a conflict with devas because they feed off devas as beings of darkness. They feed on the light of God that devas have, okay? And they corrupt them, and to do that, they attract them into their world at the end of the life of the deva in this phase of their life. When they go to the second phase by the banks of the Vaitarani River, at that level in that loka, okay, at the level where they can get to the judgment of God, well, they can get distracted and they can get stuck in what is called Vaikulta, the place of cultivation, okay, where the suras basically cultivate the devas, attract the devas and cultivate the devas, and basically, from there grow and become more powerful as asuras as they feed off more devas. So a lot of information. Okay, we won't cover all of that in detail on this video. This video was to talk about, why we find the pyramids in the world, why Kailash Mountain is it like a pyramid, okay? Why we see those pyramids built all over the world, because that was the belief system, okay? And what is the pyramid? That it's what reaches into the sky. It's a stable way of reaching into the sky, basically also a way of refinement as well, in the shape of the pyramid. You refine to a finer point, right, to a finer point of contact with the divine, and you have a good solid base with which you connect at the base as well, right? So it's that whole process of moving up the pyramid, right, which is moving up the mountain Kailash, right? And what is that? It's moving up the stream in the story of God, and that is why that is established like that. And that's why we find that culture all over the world in our history of building those pyramids, having those pyramids, right? And the connection with the sun and other cultures as well, right? Amon-Ra at that level as well. And as you can also know, Kailash is also known as the Golden Mountain, as well as it shines golden in the sun, So it's the god of the sun, the god of the light, right? The god of knowledge, God that brings the knowledge of God, right? And the story of that. So I hope this brings a little bit more information for you about why we find pyramids within the world, and basically some information about why you have the name Amon-Ra, and how that connects to the god that was worshipped in Egypt is the same god that was worshipped by our ancestors in the past at Kailash Mountain, on the north side of the mountain, where they would go to Shiva Brahm. And you can see Shiva Brahm very simple to see. If you look very closely at the middle of the mountain, look for a face that has a flat top at the beginning, so a moon face, right? And the being there, and then you'll also see right there at that spot, you'll see the Damaru of Shiva, which looks like an hourglass that's like carved into the mountain. And at the very center, where the two sides of the Damaru meet, at the fine point in the center of the hourglass, that's the Baraka Siva. That's the center of creation, which maintains creation. And you never paint that until you paint the red eye of Shiva Brahm. And that would no need to go into culture and tradition of a long time ago, but it is very interesting, how they would paint his face, and then once they were ready, then they would paint the Baraka Siva at certain occasions on the Damaru of Shiva, and basically our culture had that tradition and evolved from that knowledge of the gods and the tradition. And people would basically there were some people in culture who would be very advanced spiritually, who could basically have knowledge of the developments at the level of the gods, and would share it with all of society and culture. And many things were known, such as the protective Shetram around Kailash Mountain, and that if you had problematic things, you could go store them behind that Shetram, and they would be cut off essentially from the world. Lots to talk about the Kailash Mountain, but that is essentially where in a part of the story, culture, tradition started, right? The whole aspect of the worship of the gods, which were carved into the mountain, and that's why Kailash Mountain is known as the Wall of the Gods, or that's how it was called traditionally before as well. And then you have the north face, where you would find basically the first god that was worshipped at the mountain and the king of the gods, and basically So I do invite you to listen to more videos on this channel. If you did like the content on this video, if it's interesting, if it's something you didn't know, if it's something you think other people would be interested in listening to, please do like, click like, share, and if you're interested, subscribe. Thanks for listening to the Zen Warrior channel, and have a great day.